Under the General Data Protection Regulation, it's a legal requirement for our Data Protection Officer to report all serious breaches to the Information Commissioner's Office within 72 hours of confirming the breach. To allow time for the DPO to assess the seriousness of the incident, you must report any suspected breach within 24 hours using a breach reporting form that you'll find on Arcadia. The majority of data protection breaches arising within Aberdeenshire Council are completely avoidable. They tend to happen by accident, and a momentary lapse of good judgment or appropriate care results in personal data being lost, misplaced, or ending up in the wrong hands. Sending personal data to the wrong recipient is by far the most frequently recurring breach at the Council. Before clicking on send, you must check that it's going to the right person. Mistakes can be made because there are two people in the address book with the same name, or because we're relying on Outlook auto-filling addresses. It's easily done, so do double check before you click send. Another cause of email-related breach arises where individuals send a whole chain of emails containing personal data instead of starting a reply from a blank slate. It is an Outlook default to include the entire text of an original message when you reply to it, but you can easily switch that off. You just go to File, Options, Mail, Replies and Forwards, and then simply change the when replying to a message option to Do Not Include Original Message. Alternatively, you can manually strip out original messages before sending. When sending an email to multiple external recipients, for example to parents at a school, it's important to send the email using blind copy or BCC as opposed to using to or carbon copy, CC. This avoids external recipients from seeing each other's email addresses. Failure to use BCC is considered a data protection breach. Breaches also occur when sending personal data via post. Once again, you need to double check that you are sending the letter to the right person and the correct address. It's good practice to have a colleague check on your behalf. Use of window envelopes can also prevent a potential mismatch between the letter and the envelope. There have been occasions when breaches have happened because additional information has been inadvertently put in the envelope. For example, when people have picked up an extra bit of paper from the printer. So check what you're putting in the envelope. The Council has a corporate mail procedure which must be followed when sending mail via post. You'll find it on the Data Protection homepage on Arcadia. We have to be really careful when we're handling personal information. It's never acceptable to leave personal data unattended or unsecured in a public place, for example, on a train, on a bus or in a pub. Never remove paper files containing personal data from a council office unless it's absolutely necessary. Wherever possible, take electronic files, for example, on your encrypted laptop. And finally, a small minority of data protection breaches do not arise by accident. Very occasionally, staff choose to purposefully breach the Data Protection Act by accessing council systems to look up personal data for their own personal purposes. For example, looking up Care First or the council's tax system to find out information about a neighbour or relative. Not only is this a serious breach of council policy and a data protection breach, it is also a criminal offence. Any member of staff found to be accessing council systems for their own purposes will be subject to disciplinary procedures, may be dismissed for gross misconduct, and may also face criminal prosecution. To summarise, take care when sending emails and when posting correspondence which contain personal data. Make sure you send personal data to the correct person and never include more personal data than necessary. Finally, check and double check before sending.